Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for taking the time to purchase and support. I really appreciate the support. This is basically following up to the energy DVD that came out before this. If you have not seen that, you probably want to make sure you see that as well, because it's a lot of information. But I have talked about for a long time energy and what energy is. I have really gotten into how everything is energy, but we have to go a little bit deeper into energy. It's a lot of things that energy is that we have not discussed, but a lot of you have some understanding of, I'm sure. So we're going to get into all this, but we have went through a lot as far as information I have been putting out over the years, and we have gotten into so many different things. And as I said in the beginning, it's a lot of stuff that I want to put out that just completely surpasses religion. But as you can see, as we go through a lot of the information, we always seem to somehow come back to religion in some capacity. And again, that is due to the fact that they hid basically all of this stuff in religion itself, in the Bible, in the Torah, in the Quran, or what have you. And Buddhism and all these religions are basically talking about what I talk about. They're giving you the information in parables. And again, it's not for you to understand and get. It is really done for their secret societies. And that's what you got to understand. When they make their movies are not for you. Their movies are to make money from you, for you to get the plot of the movie and to get immersed in the characters and what they're talking about and what they're doing, but not to understand the hidden meaning behind the movie, the codes or what have you, that the people in esoteric circles and secret societies are going to be able to pull out. People with the knowledge, people that eye open. So, and understanding that when we see, the celebrities, throw up the Baphomet and the eye and everything like that, we understand what it all means. Now, of course, you have some unconscious people who still think it means the boogeyman and Satan or what have you. But by now, you have come to understand that it simply means you understand. You have knowledge. You are in the process of opening your third eye. Your eyes are open. You can see. So for people who are a part of these secret societies, they can't really speak out on the knowledge that they have gained and what they know. And this is how they convey it to each other that they do know in subtle little ways that only people within the society can understand. And not only that, they can also send signals. They can send information to each other to basically tell people to get ready for something, to prepare for something, to do something, or to let them know what's coming down, what's going to happen. What is the new wave? What is the new agenda? What is the new route in doing something that they do? This is what all that stuff is about. And it's ways of doing things. And when I say, the music, the movies, all this stuff is controlling. The Bible is not for you to understand the way that I teach it truly and deeply. All this stuff is all in the same umbrella, going towards the same type, of stuff. And when you get this music, when you get these movies and you watch this stuff, you are being programmed. You're being programmed to follow what the true message of the music in the movie is. And this has been happening to all of us. It has been going on for years. A lot of people have no clue about what this stuff is. But I'm saying all this to let you understand that this goes much deeper than people can imagine as far as how they are manipulating us. And it has a lot to do with frequency and vibration. Frequency and vibration is basically everything. When I talk about consciousness creates energy, energy creates the necessary elements to give us matter. Now, what you have to understand is all energy is vibrating. All energy. So energy is vibration. Vibration is energy. All energy emits a frequency. Just like all material is vibrating, all material emits a frequency. Everything does. Because it's made of energy. So now when Einstein said that E equals mc squared, he was basically saying that all matter, all light equals energy. So everything is energy. So when you take the atoms, as I talked about in the energy DVD, you have these atoms that come together in different amounts to give us different elements that's going to give us the matter that we see. All of those elements, all the matter we see, everything in the room around you is vibrating. It emits a frequency. It's all vibration. It's all in motion. Plain and simple. Now, of course, you've heard about atoms having empty space and the fact that, everything is not really solid. Our hands should basically pass through this stuff, but it doesn't. And how nothing is actually touching, how everything is basically, pushing off because of magnetism or what have you. All this stuff basically goes back into, the force, the electromagnetic field, the fact that there's vibration and energy happening in the atoms of everything that we see around us. And we can't really detect anything on a quantum level. We can't see this stuff because it's ultra small. But you have to think about it in different contexts. When you think about like a propeller on a plane. Now, before the propeller starts spinning, you can see space. You can see the space around the blades. It's space in between. We know this space is there, but when the blade starts spinning, you can't stick your hand in that space. Plain and simple. Now, we can't see the vibration because the atoms and the vibration is really fast, ultra fast. Everything looks the same. You have the blades spinning. You can't even see the fan blades. But if you try to stick your hand through it, knowing that it's actual empty space there, of course, your hand will get cut off. But it's a blur. It's going so fast. But it's going at a detectable speed. We know, we can see the speed. You can see that it's spinning around so fast. But you have to understand that on a quantum level, the atoms are moving at an ultra, really high speed to the point where we can't even see it. It doesn't look like it's even moving. Now, have you ever seen a superhero movie when it moves so fast, everything around them is like, going in super slow mo, but they move in a regular speed. They're moving so fast that the human people around them can't detect their speed. 1 minute he's there, next minute he comes back, and you're like, before you complete the sentence, he done went somewhere and came back and did something before you can finish talking. So to you, from your perception, it didn't look like he moved at all. This is how fast this vibration is happening, how fast this stuff is going on. So another example, always use Dragon Ball Z. If you've seen Dragon Ball Z, if you remember the Frieza saga, when Goku first got to Namek and he fought the Ginyu Force. Remember, after he defeated Raccoon, he was going against chasing Burter. Now remember, Burter was super fast, but Goku was moving really fast. He was moving so fast that they couldn't even see his movement at all. So it looked like they were shooting beams right through him. It looked like they was punching right through him, but really he was moving out the way. But he was moving so fast that it didn't look like he was moving at all. So, they were shocked. It was like, what the hell going on? He's punching through him, shooting beams through him, but that wasn't the case. He was actually dodging and moving out the way, but he was doing so fast that they couldn't detect it. This is the same thing. You have vibration. You have this movement that's happening really fast that we can't detect it. So it looks like nothing is moving at all. Now we're talking about billions of atoms moving. Now, when you go to put your hand on the wall, that sensation you are feeling that we call touch is the electromagnetic force of the electrons in the wall and the electrons in your hand. And that sensation you are feeling is basically the force of the electrons, because when electrons come in close contact, they pass photons, and the photons is basically pushing away. So it's almost like, a pressure situation that you create on a quantum level to where it feels like touch, but that sensation is not touch. It's just the force, pushing off of each other from the electrons in the wall and the electrons in your hand. Now you can basically generate enough pressure, enough force, enough energy. If you generate enough energy to basically break through the force of the electron, then you can punch through the wall. You just broke through it. And that takes a lot of force, of course. So this is how things are broken. You have more force in one than in the other. If you don't generate enough force to break through, the electromagnetic field, the force that's there, then, you're just going to have a feeling sensation. Now, since all vibration, You have things vibrating at different frequencies. They are dancing. You heard people always say, well, atoms dance. They do a different dance. So atoms in the wall versus the atoms in your hand are basically dancing different ways, moving different ways. So of course the atoms in a wall are moving differently from, let's say the atoms on your couch. You feel your couch, it feels completely different from a wall, of course. So of course atoms in different material is vibrating and moving at different rates of speed, different frequencies. So when you touch them, they have different feelings. And this is why things feel different ways, because of course those atoms are coming together to create different elements, which is going to create different material. So of course, it's not going to feel the same. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to look the same or sound the same or what have you. So, when we say everything is made of atoms, of course, when atoms come together, they are not all alike anymore. You have these elements now, even though, we go back to atoms. And this is what you're getting the different frequency from and vibration from, these different elements, these different materials that's giving us different vibrations, different sounds, different tastes, smells, or what have you. All of this stuff comes down to vibration. It comes down to energy. So we have vibration, we have frequency. Everybody knows vibration, something vibrating. A lot of people are not completely clear on frequency. Frequency, what is that? A lot of people, when they think frequency, they think about, a radio station, tuning your channel or tuning your radio to a certain frequency. Now, frequency is basically how many times something goes by within a certain amount of time, basically. We heard about frequently, you have frequency. Frequently is basically something that happens, frequently, over and over again. Frequency is something that happens, over and over again based on a time. So with frequency, you have how many waves go by per second with frequency. So when you look at a frequency wave or energy wave, it looks like this. And you have these high and low points on the wave, on the wavelength. The high and low points are the amplitude. So you have the amplitude of the wave, and you have the amount of waves going by per second. In this case, you have 20 waves going by per second at a pretty decent amplitude. So these waves going by per second are measured in hertz. So you have 20 hertz here in a frequency wave. So the higher the amplitude and the more waves you have going by per second, of course, means, the stronger the frequency, the stronger the energy. Now, I'm showing you this because I want you to think about it in the same terms as you. This is you. We are vibration. We are frequency. We are energy. So when you think about tuning a radio, when you think about tuning a piano, when you think about changing your TV dial or station or what have you, when you think about this stuff in terms of energy, frequency, vibration, sound, everything, it is all you. This is stuff that is natural. This is the makeup of the universe itself. It is you. It is all the same. So frequency, sound, vibration. Think about it in the universe. When you have sound, you have things, sound bouncing off of something. It needs some kind of material to bounce off, to keep going. Sound travels. Vibration. If you have air, you can still have vibration. You can still make sound travel through the air because the air is something. So all of this stuff deals with you and the makeup of you. All this stuff goes back to who you are and how we was created, how the universe began to create everything in existence. So everything in existence you're going to find deals, again, vibration, frequency, sound. It all goes back to energy and consciousness. Now we've all seen cymatics. With cymatics, they basically use vibration and sound. They use frequency to create these patterns, to create these shapes. This is the same thing that took place in the universe. Everything is made of stardust. So they use the sand to kind of represent that with vibration and sound, with frequency, you can create these patterns. This is what happened in our universe so long ago. You had stardust, you had the vibration, the frequency of the universe, the energy, bring together planets, form galaxies, form moons, and so many different things that we see out there in space. This all came together due to music. Just like math, we didn't create math. We didn't create music. We just discovered that it already existed before we did. Music has already been here. So when you have this vibration, when you have these frequencies playing out in space, it creates sound. You've heard that, there's no sound in space, but they have already proven that wrong. Of course there's sound. You have a certain field, a certain parameter in which you can hear. Certain things you cannot hear don't mean it don't exist. But you have different instruments that you can use that can actually pick up sound in space. They have done so already. But this is what happened. This is how all this stuff comes together with sound, vibration, frequency. Planets formed, things formed, they came together because of energy. So understanding one, vibration, light, sound, all of this stuff, frequency as well, all of it is energy. It all goes back to energy, which goes back to consciousness. So consciousness creating energy, energy vibrating, putting out frequency, creating these different atoms and elements to give us creation itself. All of this stuff happening at a quantum level, at a small level that goes deeper, than atoms. We can get in, as I said before, we can go to quarks, which gave us our protons and neutrons or what have you. You can go into string theory, when you get into string theory, they're talking about these tiny, tiny vibrating strings of energy. So it goes back to energy, so it's just better to start with that and say that. But to get into it deeper, as I said I would, you have vibration, you have frequency. So we have this consciousness, we have this energy, we have this frequency and vibration creating the material physical world. Now, talked about Satan being the lower brain, Satan being the god of the material physical world. So, what was Satan's job in heaven? Now, in Ezekiel, it talks about the 4 cherubs that was in the throne room of God, in the corners of the throne room of God. And Satan's job was basically the cherub that covereth, as it talks about in Ezekiel. So Satan's job was basically to cover the throne of God. He basically was to usher in the congregation and basically have the congregation basically worship God. Now, Ezekiel says that in his being, as I talked about in Ancient History Volume 1, we went through this, and Ezekiel talks about in his very being were basically tabrets and pipes was built into his very being. And tabret, of course, I talked about, it's basically like a small drum. They have different tabrets, but it's basically like a drum. It really goes back to colonial times and before that, where you have a person with a tabret basically play the drum to basically keep on step the person playing the fife, which a fife is like a small flute. But it denotes sound, music being played. So you're talking about music in his physical being, pipes, drums. When you think about pipes in somebody's physical being, you think about these pipes being their what? Their organs. Organs. So organs have pipes. And it's not a coincidence or a play on words that organs sound the same as an organ, which is a musical instrument. They know what they're doing. They did this with the English language for a reason. And it's, the same reason why you see when somebody's playing an organ, there's always something evil, Phantom of the Opera, or like a ghost or somebody playing the organ to denote, evil, something evil. But it has pipes. Now, when we say a person has pipes, they can blow, they can sing. This is what we mean. Now you have to understand your vocal cords is basically a 2-band tissue in your larynx. Your larynx is in the top of your trachea, which your trachea is basically your windpipes. Your windpipes. So you have air from your lungs that passes through your vocal cords that creates this, unique sound. That unique sound, of course, is the sound of you, your voice. You have a different voice, different from everybody else. So when this air passes through your vocal cords, they vibrate. Vibration to give you your unique sound. So when you go back to Satan and you think about, what was Satan's job? He had these musical instruments built into him and what have you. His job had to be choir director. He was the choir director. He ushered in the congregation to praise God. How do they praise God in church today? With song. They sing. This was Satan's job. This is what it's alluding to in the Bible. Remember, they give you subtle clues and tips, little hints They don't give you 100% clarity, but when you pay attention, this is exactly what it's talking about. So you have the choir director or the choir, singing these songs and praising God and creating music, creating sound. In church, they pass around the hymn, which hymn goes back to Greek hymnos, which another way we can look at it and say how the Greeks, as I always say, created the Bible. But hymn goes back to hymnos, which is Greek. So understand, when you see a preacher, allowing a gay person to run a church choir, or you always go to church and you see like a gay person playing the organ, or you always hear preachers refer to a gay person at a church that's running a choir or playing an organ, this is all Masonic code. All of it. Trust me. Because first of all, if you're true to the religion as a preacher, most of these preachers, you see what they do when they come across a homosexual, they try to cast demons out or what have you. It's bullshit. The ones that allow it are the ones who are probably Masons. They do it to show Masonic ties, and it's a secret thing that a lot of people who only in secret societies will understand what they're doing, but it's alluding to Satan. It's alluding to a lot of different things. So they're showing you that, hey, I understand sound, I understand frequency and vibration, I understand what this stuff goes back to, I understand that Satan goes back to frequency and sound, Satan deals with material, I know all this stuff, so I'm going to let this gay dude run a choir, I'm going to let this gay dude play the organ or what have you, and this is all to show what this stuff is going back to, and to you, it's a, regular Joe Blow, it's just seemingly, what is it? It's no problem, it's just, dude playing the piano, dude singing in the choir, I don't get it, but this is the stuff they do. This is why I wanted to touch on that in the beginning about Masonic codes and initiations and what they do in movies and everything that they do. To you, you just won't get a lot of this stuff. It's going to seem stupid to you. It's going to seem like, what are you talking about when somebody even brings it up? But they do this stuff for a reason. This is to basically, show fidelity, to show their knowledge on what they do. This is what Masons do all the time. When they take the pictures and you see them with all the poses and everything, this is saying, I'm a Mason, I'm in a secret society, this is what I know, I'm down, I'm in. And this is exactly what these people do. So you got to understand, when you see certain things, there's reasons behind it. So when you understand that, Satan's job was music, you understand now about the music industry and why it's surrounded by Satanism and all these so-called Illuminati, satanic codes or what have you. All this stuff goes back to this, the understanding of this knowledge or what have you. But when you see it and you understand how, Satan goes back to material, you can understand why people say material is evil. People are consumed with the materialistic world and materials. People will kill for it. People do unspeakable things to get money, to get material, to get fame so they can get these things. People are attached so much to the material, physical world, and it's all due to deception. And understand, when we look at what this stuff is tied to, it's tied to the music that's putting out this culture. It all goes back to satanic things, to Satan. So when we talk about frequency and vibration, we talk about the manipulation of sound and how it's basically controlling people. You understand what controls this stuff? Material. It goes back to material. It goes back to these corporations that's controlling the material. So when I showed you about how all these corporations, you see the celebrities throw up the eye, throw up the hand signals or what have you to show their fidelity. But you see the corporations put up Saturn. They put, they hide satanic things within their logos to show you what they down with, that they are the bringer of these materialistic things representing the materialistic world. Satan, materialism. This is where all this stuff goes back to. Now, all this stuff couldn't exist if it wasn't for the government, who's at the top of all of it, regulating and allowing all these corporations and companies to exist under them. You can't get no corporation or get your stuff incorporated and get your stuff out there without the government. You have to pay taxes. You have to do certain things. You got to pay the boss. Who are they paying their money to? They're paying it to the government. The government is at the top. As I said, the government is God. The government is Satan. I mean, think about it. Why the hell would the Bible say that Satan is the God of this world? Think about that. That's stupid. Why would it say that? Didn't God just create this world? Ain't God God is God. How can Satan be God? I don't get that. So a lot of people don't let this stuff sink in because they are so bamboozled by the lie and all the fairy tale stories of the Bible. They don't stop and think, why the hell would you call Satan a god? Why would you put him on the same status and level as God himself? Wait a minute. Don't we call God God? Why would we call Satan God? They're not the same. God created Satan. What's going on? And people can't fathom this. You know, you read in the Bible, Lord, the Lord God, Lord Almighty. Huh? White people call themselves lords. They're calling themselves lords for a long time. How can they do that? What is that? How can we call, the Lord when these people are calling themselves Lord? Which basically Lord just means a person who has power and authority over other people. A person who is in control. A chief. Government. People in power. The powers that be. These people have been calling themselves lords for a long time. And then you sit and you read in the Bible, Lord God. And these people have been calling themselves gods and lords for a long time. And then people can't connect the dots. This is what it's talking about. And it's not a coincidence that we see Lord, Lord, Lord. And we get the King James Bible from an English King James. Think about it. And people are just so blind and oblivious because they don't understand that their mind is being controlled by the frequency, by the vibration, which we'll get into more. It all goes back to Satan, controlling the material, physical world that we live in. So we can look at this thing and say, well, so what? Frequency and vibration, they're talking about Satan. Satan is not real. We get it. Yeah, it goes back to frequency and vibration. But this stuff is deeper than you can imagine. Deeper than you can imagine. And the fact that so much emphasis is put on Satan and his deception and what he represents, it doesn't get any more evil and bad than Satan. Not to say that frequency and vibration is bad, because it goes back to energy, it goes back to you. You are Satan. You are frequency and vibration. So understand that. It's why they're using Satan and saying this dude is the worst being of all ever. Even though he's fictional, he still represents that. And you got to understand, when you believe in something, if everybody believe it, then it basically is real. It comes true. Plain and simple. And that's something we'll touch on. But even though he's not, and you have people that are skeptical about his existence, it is what it is. Nonetheless, what he represents goes back to these things, and it's basically a danger warning for a reason about Satan, which we're going to get into, because you got to understand. So one, you have vibration, frequency, energy, all out there traveling throughout the cosmos, all throughout our physical material world, everywhere. We are transmitters, we are receivers, and we are receiving and transmitting these frequencies that is all everywhere, that is all over the place. And we transmit this stuff, and we decode it into basically what we call our senses, hear, taste, touch, smell, or what have you. And this is how we decode this information. So now all this stuff is what? Electrical signals interpreted by the brain, just like Morpheus said. And that's all it is. Remember, energy. Vibration, all this stuff is electrical signals. This is what we're getting interpreted by the brain into what we call our senses. Taste, smell, touch, sight, or what have you, all that stuff. We'll get into that a little bit more deeper. But that's what it is. So they're using all this stuff against us. Now, when you transmit all this information, you're transmitting it right into your consciousness, and it's being stored within your subconscious, whether you understand that or not. Whether you consciously understand what you just took in or not, your subconscious does, and it's storing this information, and it's in there. So, as I said, this stuff goes back to music, sound. They are controlling us with visualization and stimulation of music, stimulation of these visual things that we desire, things that our hearts desire. That's a huge thing when people say that, if they really understand what it means, which we'll touch on. But it's a big thing. So we have this stimulation. We have this music that we have been listening to all of our lives. Now, how many of you have heard about the controversy between the music frequencies? That's a big thing. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't know what this stuff was about. But I'm going to settle the whole thing right here, because you'll see about it as you go into studying what we're talking about here, after you do your own research, of course. Now, you have the whole argument that 432, which is the normal frequency for music, 432 hertz, 432 hertz supposedly being transformed into 440 hertz. And you have a lot of people complaining about that, saying they don't sound the same, or they doing this to mess with our frequency, they doing this to mess with our minds, or what have you. And a lot of people are obsessed with the 432 and the 440. So now the 432 hertz is supposed to resonate with the earth, with love. It's supposed to resonate with our DNA. It's supposed to resonate with so many different frequencies. 432 is supposed to resonate with the pyramids. It's supposed to resonate with Stonehenge and so many different things. The sun, the moon, so many different things we find 432 in. It is a resonant frequency that we resonate with, that we dealt with since the beginning of time. It's a amazing frequency. And 432, when you add it up, it's 9. 4 plus 3, 7 plus 2, 9. So 9, what is that? And that's a huge deal that we're going to get into that some of you probably know about, but probably not as deep as we're about to go into now. So 9 is the most significant number in the universe. 9 has existed long before we ever call it 9. 9 represents the divine completion. 9 is the end all be all, because once you are completed, so shall you be. So 9 is called a divine completion. 9, we know, is the last number in the counting system. You have 1 to 9, 0, 0, and then that's it. Everything else, of course, is a combination of those numbers. So 9 represents divine completion. 9 is the most significant number. 9 is everywhere. So now, when I first started studying Nikola Tesla, which was a long time ago, Nikola Tesla made a big difference in my life personally. I don't talk about him that much, but if it wasn't for Tesla, it wouldn't be a Merkaba, put it like that, as far as me having that name, which I'll talk about. But Tesla did so much. Tesla was a genius. And he discovered a lot. And once you start really getting into Tesla, and I've read everything, probably everything that he's put out, and almost everything that everybody ever written about him that he's supposed to have said or did, yeah, I know about it. I read about it. Trust me. Tesla, what he was doing, once you start getting into this information, you get to a point. Some of the people that you'll come across, you'll understand their significance and the contribution that they gave to humanity. And it's a select few that did outrageous things to me. And this is just blowing it out the water. When you start studying the man, you'll understand. To me, it's not too many people that come close to what this dude discovered. And what this dude discovered is mind-boggling when you understand it to its totality, which is why they let him rot away in a fucking hotel room, and they basically made sure he could not get any of his inventions really off the ground, that he could not unleash the unbelievable knowledge that he had, that he learned from your ancestors, from the Egyptians. So, of course, at the top of my list would, of course, be, the Egyptians. But right under them is Tesla, because Tesla gave us a lot. But he gave us basically what our ancestors left for us in Kemet that's still waiting for us today to discover, which is why I study Kemet so hard, because it's all there. But Tesla is a key into all of that, which you'll understand as we go along. But when you get into the information that the universe is numbers, when you get into all that and you start understanding what that stuff really means, and it start blowing your mind, you're going to start finding something with Tesla about the Tesla codes. You have the Tesla codes, the 369 codes, you have the 9 codes, you have all this stuff that's going to start getting into vortex math. This is all crazy stuff that we'll get into down the line eventually, but it basically goes back to Tesla, it goes back to the ancient Egyptians, and what Tesla has discovered about the Egyptians. So now Tesla is studying, all of this stuff, and he understood about vibration and frequency and sound, and that this stuff goes back to numbers. And obviously, of course, the powers that be did as well, which is why they stifled them. But when he started getting into this stuff, he found out some interesting things about the pyramids in Giza. Now, when you get into all this stuff with the ancient Egyptians, it all goes back to the number 9, and I'll explain in a little bit what it has to do with music in the 432 hertz, because it all matches up. It all goes together. It's really deep. So, with ancient Kemet, of course, they knew about 9. Tesla understood this. And it's a lot of freaky stuff that we already know about the number 9. Again, as I said, it is the end of the counting system. 9 is just n. Everything else is extra numbers. But we also know that any number times 9 equals 9 when you add all the numbers together, except 9, it equals 36, which 3 plus 6 equals 9. You have a circle, which is 360 degrees. 3, 6 equals 9. Half of a circle, which is 180, 180 equals 9. Half of that, which is 90, you have 9. Half of that, which is 45, you have 4 and 5 equals 9. If you keep going down, you're going to keep finding 9. So, you have half of 45, which is 22.5. Half of that, which would be 11.25. 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 5 gives you 9. You want to keep going, we go half of that, which would be 5.625, which equals 18. 1 and 8 is 9. We can keep going down and down and down. In every instance, you will find half of will always equals 9. It always equals 9. So we've seen the documentaries about the pyramids, and they talk about the speed of light or what have you, and all these other things that they have put into the Great Pyramids. So we look at the speed of light, which is 186,282, which if you add those numbers together, you'll get 27. 2 and 7 equals 9. We equal 9 if you do the 666. 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons. 666 gives us 18, gives us 9. You are carried for 9 months. Woman, she's carried a baby for 9 months. So we find 9 everywhere. And it's so deep that a lot of people have absolutely no clue where this stuff goes. Now, also, if you put it in any kind of symmetrical shape, like a square or a triangle or octagon into a circle, every single one of those angles at every point will equal to 9. I mean, it's crazy. It's mind-boggling. When you look at the flower of life, the tree of life, all the angles, everything, all equal 9. It's mind-boggling when you think about it. So when you think about consciousness moving, when they show you the creation of, the tree of life, the flower of life, or what have you, they always show you the circle. And that's 9 right there. And when consciousness moved and created the next step, and I showed you guys this in the energy video, we have 9. All of those breakdowns is going to give you 9. It's something that's completely amazing. So, Tesla, in studying, pyramids, Tesla figured out that the pyramids, of course, were energy generators, plain and simple. Energy generators that not only generated energy, but they produced sound. They had a concentrated frequency and vibration and produced sound because of the acoustic properties of the pyramids themselves. I just came out of the pyramids when I was in Kemet, and I was up there in the acoustics room. Unfortunately, my phone overheated and I couldn't record anything. I think everybody's phone overheated, and you couldn't bring cameras in that place. But it's amazing, and you can make noise and you can hear it, and it vibrates, crazy. It's an unbelievable experience. But he took all of this information and he said to himself, well, this stuff is an energy fucking generator. So that's what it is. These people had wireless energy. They understood 9. As I said, studying Tesla is how I came up, is why I use Merkaba. One, when you take a tetrahedron, you take one tetrahedron, you take 2 tetrahedrons. First tetrahedron is basically like a 3-sided pyramid when you look at it. You have one that fits into a pyramid shape, but when you take 2, you not only get a shape that can fit perfectly, inside of the Great Pyramid, but it creates a Merkaba. So you have a Merkaba that can fit inside of the Great Pyramid. This Merkaba has 8 vortices. When you add those vortices together, you get 36, which 3 and 6 equals 9. If you look at my YouTube channel, if you go there, it's been youtube.com/Merkaba9. And I put that there for a reason. When I set out to give this information, I knew I will ultimately get to this point and start discussing Tesla, and which we'll get in more Tesla and a bunch of other people's information down the line. But that's mind-boggling, trust me. I knew, I wanted to talk about this and put this information out there, and to get people to understand what I talk about. When I first started getting into this kind of information and seeing, not just information, but when I first started really getting into YouTube and I made a conscious decision to say, okay, I'm going to teach, I'm going to put out information. I understood from a lot of people was telling me don't do it. A lot of people were saying, people are ungrateful on YouTube. They just talk shit. It's a lot of trolls and what have you. I didn't really take heed to none of that stuff. I just wanted to get the information out there. But, a lot of people I've seen in the black community, in the so-called conscious community, frown on anybody using white people information, which to me is like, huh? Because I understood that, wait a minute, don't y'all know that we created them? So, we all basically one family. Something happened and we need to educate them to let them know what happened, and they shouldn't follow the powers that be, because it's going to lead them to their doom, which is why I decided to aim my information towards teaching everybody, not just black people, but everybody. A lot of people can't get that through their head. So I kind of wanted to chill before I start really talking about the scholars who I've been following and listening to, not just white scholars, black scholars, Asians, what have you, which we're going to get into that down the line. But, so many different people, because they have all contributed to what we know about, reality and space or what have you, existence itself. Every civilization have in some way, shape, or form, and we can't just stick with one when we created them all. So you need to understand that. It's a lot of people who I've had to block and not deal with because they can't accept that, I'm promoting unity. I'm neutral. Of course, me being black and understanding where we are, I'm pro-black and I stand with my people before anybody else. But I don't like to put it in that way to make it like it's us against the world. But it is us against the world, but I'm not stupid enough not to understand that we need allies in this whole situation. So that said and out the way, I want people to know that if you don't agree with unity, if you don't really understand that this color shit is stupid and that we're not going to ever get anywhere if we don't deal with it, then, I definitely don't want to be buying my DVDs or following the information I put out, because that's where we need to go. Because if we don't fix this, these people are so close. They are so close. It's because of a consciousness that still exists within people deep down that understands the truth that they haven't won yet. When they put this music and stuff out there, they thought that was going to be it. They didn't really understand. They thought it was going to be over. They were just going to have us and game over. But we've been fighting it for a long time. And we've been fighting with ourselves for a long time with religion and everything else. And we don't really even understand it, but they do, which is why this stuff has drug on for so long. But that being said, Tesla came to the conclusion that the pyramids were harmonious, that they put out a frequency that resonated with everybody near it, all three pyramids. So the society in Kemet, when the pyramids was at full capacity and generating this energy, these negative ions, and this frequency, they were picking up this frequency and sound that resonated with everybody. And it was like a harmonious frequency that kept everybody in good health, good mental capacity, that kept everybody focused. There was no problems, no issues. All the people was on basically the same harmony, the same wavelength. And this is exactly how they describe Atlantis. So it's crazy when you start getting into the information, you start thinking about it. This is what they was talking about with Atlantis. But when you actually see the physical properties existing within the pyramids themselves, this is why you had a lot of people say, well, the pyramids came from Atlantis. So now in measuring the frequency coming from the Great Pyramid, the frequency, of course, was 432 hertz. 432 hertz, which 432 equals 9. Now, and understanding that, and looking at the pyramid of Khafre, the pyramid of Menkaure, and understanding that they all was designed to resonate with each other and put out different frequencies. Now, 432 is found in the polar radius and circumference of the Earth in relation to the height and radius of the Great Pyramid. So, again, these numbers, 432, resonate with so many different things with the Earth itself and so many other things in nature and existence. So, of course, when Tesla seen this, he kept digging. So you have the Great Pyramid resonating at 432 hertz, which would be the Great Pyramid of Khufu. Then you have Khafre at 218 hertz, and you have Menkaure at 108 hertz. All have that's designed to basically resonate with each other to put out this frequency, this harmonious frequency that is generating energy, creating negative ions, and basically putting out a frequency that's resonating with everything, with everybody. So this was something that just is completely amazing, that blows people away, which is why, of course, they had to destroy them. Whatever destroyed the pyramids, one, to the point where they wasn't built, whatever happened back then, whatever that war was to do exactly what we are experiencing right now. It was for the sole purpose of what is taking place in our existence today. And you have to think about that. What the fuck is that? What is that? Because to me, when I look around the world and I see that pyramids were all over the planet and they were doing the exact same thing and putting out this energy, this vibration and frequency, and what kind of world where anybody that's a human will want to stop this from happening? This is something that we all needed to help the planet, that basically got rid of all of our problems, that had everybody in harmony and working together. What happened? What could have disturbed that? And it's exactly what we're seeing today, which is why I say whoever these people are at the top, they're not people. Whatever they are some kind of beings that has some kind of agenda dealing with our energy and dealing with what we are, what we are in truth, in essence. Because as I said, if you have people, you have these beings that needs energy, then they are not like us. They are not infinite energy. Just because they can live forever and sustain themselves forever somehow by feeding off our energy and creating whatever they created, doesn't make them like us. Because if they was like us, they wouldn't need to do this. They wouldn't need to do this stuff. So this is happening for whatever reason, for, to fit whatever agenda. But this is definitely not the way things was at the beginning, when it was peace and this vibration was going out and everybody was under this frequency and living the way we're supposed to live. So we have these frequencies in the pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, 432 hertz. You have Khafre at 216 hertz, Menkaure at 108 hertz, and they're supposed to resonate with each other. Now, the thing is, when you take Khafre and you multiply it by Khufu, which would be 432 times 216, you get 93,312, which when you add all those together, you get 18, 1 and 8 equals 9. When you do the same thing with Menkaure, you get 108 times 432, which add those numbers together, you get 27. 2 and 7 equals 9. Now, if you want to keep going and break it down in half like we did with the circle, if you want to go down to, let's say, 54 hertz, you go 54 times, which 54 would be half of 108. You go 54 times 432, which will give you 23,328. 18, which will equal 18 when you add those together. 1 and 8 equals 9. Half of that, which would be 27. And first of all, 54 equals 9. 216 equals 9. 108 equals 9. That's another thing. So the frequencies themselves equals 9. Forgot about that part. But if you keep going from 27 and breaking it down, you will always end up at the number 9. So 27 times 432 would be 11. 66, 4. Add them together, you get 18. 1 and 8 equals 9. So on and so forth. So the numbers multiplied by 432 gives us 9. 9 is everywhere. It's all in this stuff. If you have not, after you finish watching, if you have not seen the movie 9, which 9 came out 9909, that's 3 nines. 9 times 3 is 27. 2 and 7 equals 9. These people put this stuff here for a reason. If you look at the cover, he has a wireless staff with a light bulb at the top. It's transmitting wireless energy to this bulb. And it's talking about 9. We know that wireless energy goes back to Kemet, has that staff in his hand. He has the number 9. Definitely a movie you should watch. It's a pretty deep movie. After you see this movie, and if you watch my videos and everything like that, then you'll get that movie. You know, when I first seen it, of course, I didn't get it. But when I watched it later on, it just blew me away because I had the knowledge to basically decode the movie. Deep shit in that movie. Definitely watch. As I said, they put the stuff in movies, not for you. You were supposed to just get the story, not the hidden meaning and what they're trying to tell you about the number 9. So now a lot of people, as I said, was concerned about the 432 frequency, the 432 hertz frequency in music being switched to 440 hertz frequency, and that somehow disrupting the harmony and disrupting everything that is in balance with the universe, because the 432 hertz frequency, you know, equals 9, and 9 resonates with basically everything in the universe, and changing that would be a problem. So, you know, you have to understand, a lot of people get into this stuff and they know that, you know, when you start messing around with words, when you start messing around with these frequencies, because, you know, words are powerful, and they believe that the words being changed to these frequencies is going to be an issue. And, you know, words are powerful. You know, you put an S in front of, take the S from words and put it in front, you get sword. We all know that. The thing is, when you add sword, you get 21, which sword equals 21, word equals 21. 21 times 21 gives you 441, which 441, 4 plus 4 plus 1 equals 9. Number 9, not a coincidence. You'll find that a lot in a lot of different words. But the whole thing is this, you know, for those people who are worried about the frequency change, as I talked about on a couple forums, if anybody was on, I get into all that kind of nerd stuff in different forums as Merkaba. Yeah, I talked about this in a forum probably like a month ago. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. And the 440 hertz and the 432 hertz frequency is okay. It's a slight difference in frequency. We're going to talk about this more in a second. And I get people looking at it as far as saying, you know, Illuminati and all this kind of stuff, and they change the frequency and they're trying to, you know, control us or what have you. This is what you guys are not understanding. As I said, I would explain. What you are not understanding is, 1, frequency is not the issue. Yes, with frequency, you can do a lot of things and you can change and control so much, which we'll talk about that as well. But with music, they don't have to. Music, they don't have to do none of that stuff. They change the frequency. You can only change it but so much to where it's going to start to get distortion and it's not going to sound the same. So you can't change it but so much. But it's more about the laws of attraction. So they don't care about frequency because they understand the laws of attraction. So now they gave us this whole destructive hip-hop music industry. They gave us gangster rap and everything that we have been seeing and listening to that has been behind the destruction of the black community. As far as entertainment, they gave us all this stuff because they understand the laws of attraction. They understand that thought is the most potent, the most powerful form of energy. Thoughts can be measured. They give off a frequency. Thought is energy. Thought is the most potent form of energy. Why? Because thought is consciousness. Consciousness creates the energy. So thought itself will be the most potent, as I explained. Now, a lot of people think the laws of attraction is spooky. They don't believe in them. They think it's a joke. But these people call it magic. They call it magic. And this is what Crawley was talking about. This is what they are talking about when you hear celebrities always say, put it out to the universe. When you hear them always immersed in spirituality and not so much with the Bible. Now, you get, you know, people like Jim Carrey and a lot of celebrities coming out and speaking and hinting about what's going on. Robin Williams said before he passed, he talked about how years ago, what they are doing would not be allowed. They will be burnt at the stake as witches because it's magic. It's witchcraft. And I talked about this in the Voodoo DVD about, you know, what this stuff really goes back to and how they are using it against us. So when I said in the Voodoo DVD about, you know, our government is using basically voodoo, they're using magic on us. This is what I mean. They understand the laws of attraction. So you have, 1, seemingly your thoughts creating something out of nothing, as I explained. This is why I gave you guys the whole analogy about sex, because with your thoughts, you can create stimulation. You can create the energy that's going to stimulate you sexually without you touching anything. That is thought creating actual physical motion and causing you to become aroused. Thought itself is throwing that. Thought is power. Remember, before you do anything, before you move, a thought occurs first. Energy is produced, goes to the brain, which causes you to be able to move. It happens really fast. So you don't understand, because you're not conscious enough to understand that you thought about moving your hands or what have you, or even blinking before you even did so. And it happened so fast. They get this stuff. They understand it. So you have this potent form of energy called thought. And they understand how to use it against us, our own thoughts. So when they give you this music, and when you focus on something, the more energy, the more focus you give to a thought, the more powerful it becomes, the more higher the frequency grows. So when they measure your thoughts, they have devices for this, the more you think about it, the more the frequency grows. And the higher the frequency gets, the more like thoughts you attract to it. So a thought in essence can become physical reality, as far as I said, when you keep thinking and dwelling on sex, you become aroused. You want sex, of course. So you have to think about this in different terms, but not as, straightforward as sex. But it's many amazing ways how this goes about, which we'll talk about. But the more you keep thinking about this stuff, the more you attract like frequencies. Like attracts like. So you're attracting these frequencies into yourself. So the more you keep listening to this music and you're thinking about all these things that's deeply within the back of your mind that you may not even, really consciously understand, the more you start attracting this stuff to you. So you start having these thoughts that you don't really understand. This music is attracting you to a certain type of people. So you live in a community, you live in a neighborhood where everybody listens to hip hop. Your friends listen to hip hop. You guys are cool, y'all hang out because you have this same like. You like the same music, you guys like the same things. Like attracts like. You go and meet up at clubs because you like the kind of music this club plays. People go to concerts because they like that artist, they like that style of music. So everybody was attracted to this concert because of the music, because they like that music. So that frequency has attracted people to this place. So you got dressed, you spent money, you bought a ticket to meet with other people who share the same, frequency as you, basically, which is this music. So you start attracting people to your circle who like music. Now, you may have a friend who don't like hip hop, but the thing is, we live in a hip hop culture. So it doesn't matter if they like hip hop or not. That's the culture. Everybody is affected by it. So the atmosphere is conducive to this culture, which the culture is this frequency. It's a frequency. So when you pay attention to the Black community and what's going on, why is it that we find the same stories within multiple families, the same type of scenarios and situations in multiple families? So if you live in the hood, most likely you can't knock on, you can knock on probably every other door, and you're going to find a case where there's a single girl probably living with her parents that got kids, or a girl living by herself on welfare with kids. You're going to find a dude who is not working, probably selling drugs, hustling, got baby mamas, ain't really doing too much with his life but selling drugs. You're going to find a dude that's probably going out there working, trying to bust his ass and trying to do something with his life, but it's being brought down by friends. You're going to find these same type of stories of people doing the same stuff because they are driven to the same frequency. They have been controlled by the same frequency that is causing and shaping the course of their life. This is what the culture is doing. This is what it was designed to do. Shape our life, to follow these frequencies. So as you think about this music talking about gangster rap and being a gangster and selling drugs and dressing and looking a certain type of way, you begin to follow it and mimic it. And this is what we have been doing in the Black community. Now, a lot of people don't realize that this is what they have been doing. They have been following. They have been following, they have been attracted to a frequency, attracted to a certain type of people, and they don't really understand why. They just believe it's them. It's the way they're supposed to feel. It's the way that they are going because they somehow want to. Now, you don't really get to understand the effects of this until you be in a situation that's different. So, how many times you've been in a situation where two people, it's three of y'all, two people talking about a movie that they super hype about that you did not see. They cracking up and they laughing and they hype about certain parts in the movie. You have no idea what they're talking about, but it sounds awesome and you wish you can participate, but you can't because you ain't see the damn movie. So you feel some type of way. You feel left out. But these two people are just having, fun. I mean, I remember when Friday came out, everybody was talking about Friday. If you didn't see Friday when it first came out, you was left out of the conversation like crazy. You was left looking stupid. So you ran and went to go see that movie because, they attracted you to it. The energy, the frequency that you felt from what they were saying and everything else, just you had to go see it. And it's basically the same feeling. You having that left out feeling because you're not in the loop. So you want to be in the loop because of, that frequency is something that you enjoyed. It looked like it was fun. You want to be down with it. So people, this is what they do. And the frequency now has attracted another person and so on and so forth to the point where you'd be hard pressed to find a person in America that has not seen Friday that's, under 50. It'd be tough. Most people have seen it, seen the movie, and everybody loved the movie. But this is just a small analogy that you got to think about. So you have so many cases to where we are following the frequency, we are being attracted to the frequency, and it's leading us in so many different ways. And everybody is going through different paths and doing different things with their lives, but not realizing that we are all ending up in the same place and ending up in the same type of situations. Baby mama drama. And you hear rappers talk about this stuff. A dude got shot for selling drugs or tried to rob somebody. We see this stuff all the time on the news. We see the same type of stories, the same type of stuff happening to people, different people, in the same community and in different communities. And it's not a coincidence. Now, what we are not understanding is one, this music leaves a mark inside your consciousness, your subconsciousness that keeps playing over and over again. This music is still playing in your head. Once in a while, song will just pop in your head and you'll start singing. You heard it probably 2 days ago. You heard it an hour ago. But you'll just start singing a song. Or a song will pop in your head. And you'll just start singing it. And it's your subconscious taking this song, giving it to you, and telling you, hey, you need to deal with this song. Because, it's just playing over and over again. Is this what you want? Consciously deal with this so I can get rid of it, or I can do what you want me to do with it. This is what your subconscious is trying to tell you about the music. That's why it popped up in your head. Now, if you are not conscious of the music, if you don't understand what it is and what it's going to do to you, if you don't know nothing about that, if you still think music is just music and this stuff has no effects or anything like that, then guess what? Your subconscious is going to say, okay, that's what you want, and you're going to get it. You're going to get it. You're going to manifest it within your life, not just poof out of thin air. You got to understand how this stuff works. So the thing is, one, as I talked about before, your heart emits an electromagnetic field. So does your brain. That electromagnetic field is connected to the electromagnetic field of the planet, which is connected to everything. The electromagnetic field of the universe, you might as well say, which is energy in abundance, energy flowing everywhere. It's all connected and connected to you. The problem is you do not control it like we once did at some point. We don't control it. So you have this connection that we have where we are transmitting and receiving so many different frequencies and signals from so many different things that we don't understand. Your emotions is it's a signal. You are transferring your emotions. I talked about this before, how you can walk into a room, and if your loved one, somebody who you know, is mad, or even if you don't know them in some cases, if they mad or upset, you can feel it. When you knew you was about to get that beating from your mom, you can feel it. Your chest is just like your heart about to jump out your chest. You feel that feeling. You understand your mom is pissed. You understand the tension. You understand that something is about to go down. It's a feeling that you get. It's because our electromagnetic field is linked with everybody else's. And when you come close, you can feel the energy from another person if they're putting out that energy strong. So when somebody is mad, you know it. You can feel it. Somebody's about to fight, you can feel the tension. You can cut it with a knife, as we say. You can feel this stuff. You pick it up because of this electromagnetic field that is emitting from your heart, from your brain. This is the key part. Now, when you have these frequencies coming in and your brain says, okay, since you don't want to deal with this stuff on a conscious level, let me put it out there. Your subconscious will put this stuff out to the universe, to the electromagnetic field, and attract exactly the same person who was attracted to that same signal. So while you trying to get you stank, thought chick, you're going to be walking down the street and she's going to come right past you. You're going to find her on Instagram. She's going to put up a picture or whatever. You're going to like it. And next thing you know, you got it. It's just how it is. You can't keep seeking something that's possible to find and not find it. You're going to find it eventually. You're going to get it, especially if it's what your heart desired, basically, because that's what happens. So when you have this stuff embedded deeply and going, over and over in your subconscious, it becomes something that your subconscious mistakes as you really, really wanting. And this is how you attract this stuff. And with music, it's just so powerful to where it's going to happen. So we have been attracting these things in our reality, and it's been affecting us, changing our lives. So you want that, gangster thug dude with his pants sagging and, who's supposed to be a gangster baller or what have you, whatever you thought that you wanted because you watched too many videos, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to attract him right into your life. Now, this same dude that you attracted, watching the same music videos, listening to the same music, probably live around the corner from you. He wants to be this guy that you want. So he's going to dress up and act like him. He's going to sag his pants. He's going to act like he balling. And y'all going to attract right to each other. And then now you're dealing with this dude who is really a boy. None of you are who you really want to be. You just confused. You just following the frequency that is not really you. You don't really agree with, fuck them bitches, kill them hoes and all that. You don't really agree with, shoot them up, kill them, kill a nigga, shoot a nigga, bang, bang, nigga, you dead and all that. You don't really agree with that deep down. You're following the frequency. You're following the atmosphere. You're following the culture. And it's leading you into all kinds of bullshit that you are eventually going to be regretting that you ever entered into. So when you put up that sexy picture, guess what? Guys are going to be attracted to you, attracted to the picture. That picture that you put up carries a frequency that says something about you, that says something about that frequency that people say, well, wait a minute, she might be easy. That frequency says she's a slut, she's a whore, she's a thought. This is easy pussy in the minds of a man. This is how we think. So you're going to attract people who want this type of woman. You're going to attract people who are horny, who just want to have sex. You're going to attract all kinds of people. What you're not going to attract is a man who wants you for your mind, a man who wants you for who you really are. You're going to attract people who want you for your body, for sexual purposes, plain and simple. How is that not, easy for people to comprehend when they put up a picture of their sexy body? We call it attraction for a reason. They're attracted to you because of that picture. So when you put up that twerk video, what kind of man do you think you're going to attract? You're going to attract people that's on that same frequency. They're going to be attracted to the frequency that you put out, that same kind of vibe. You're putting out the vibes that you're a whore, you're a hoe, you're easy, you're a thought. And these are the kind of men that you're going to be attracting to you to give you attention. And you end up conducive to the community, the culture, and baby mama drama, baby daddy drama, welfare, can't pay my bills, can't get a job, attracting men who trying to mimic these so-called gangsters who talking about killing people, killing their brothers and sisters and people that they've grown up with and, called friends. Everything that this music has been put out for, we have fallen victim to it because the frequency we are tapped and locked right into it. And if you're not conscious, there's no way you can step away from it. You have to be conscious of it. You can't just walk around saying, oh, it's just music. It got you, game. So now your life is unraveling. Nothing seems to work out for you. You can't be successful because you are attracted to a certain frequency that has you in a state of, just perpetual, denial, perpetual ignorance. And now you can't be successful because of this. So it's a lot of people who trying to be conscious, who fighting against this stuff. And they are still a fan. A lot of people are still fans. I always talk about this more in a second. But you're attracting all this stuff to you. And it's not what you want, really. So unless you tell your subconscious what you want and what you want to do with this information, and you're being conscious of it, then it's going to bring you exactly that. Now, people always ask me the question. People always say that, meditation is not working. People wonder why, it's a problem. What is the problem? So when people meditate, a lot of people think, when people say the law of attraction, that we're talking about manifestation, that you can just manifest out of thin air exactly what you want. You're not that powerful yet, and you probably won't be in this lifetime. That's something that's possible, that I'm going to say, yes, it's possible. But we're talking about on a super total level to be able to do such a thing. But the problem is, it's not manifestation. That's not the way it's going to happen. Every move you have ever made in your life, everything you have ever done, every single decision carries a probability. Plain and simple. So while you may not understand all of the probabilities, your subconscious does. Your subconscious understands every single possible outcome that can be and can predict what will be, believe it or not, which is why sometimes you have deja vu, which is basically you've seen the future or you did something already because you've seen it already. And it may feel like, didn't I just do this? But really, you don't know that your brain had already projected this stuff to you because it has some kind of significance that sometimes you pick up on, sometimes you don't. I tell people when you have that deja vu feeling, take heed of what that is. Mark it down, think about it, meditate on it, because it might be important. But your subconscious knows everything. It just can predict everything. And it knows the steps. It knows the way you're going to move or what the possible outcomes could be. So when we say put it out to the universe, as I talked about, you have the electromagnetic field and you can attract like things, like frequencies. So when you trying to get that job, if you're a go-getter and your subconscious, of course, knows this about you, it's just going to motivate you. Plain and simple. It's going to motivate you and say, hey, you're a go-getter, go do this. And in your brain, you're going to be like, okay, I need to work, I need to do this, boom. And you're just going to be that person that do what you have to do to get up and go get what you got to get. Next thing you know, you have it because you put everything in motion and because your subconscious allowed you to be clear and to do everything that you need to do. Your subconscious is saying, well, this is the easy one for me. Go get it. So then that you went out and you put in all this work, now all of those probabilities becomes possibilities. So now it's possible. It becomes more possible because you have attracted. The more you kept focusing on positivity and positive thoughts of you getting this job and all this stuff working out for you, the more you begin to attract it. So now, went from probably to possibly to now you're good. So even if you needed money, your subconscious understands every possibility, every probability that can happen for you to end up getting what you need, the money. So again, if you're a go-getter, then your subconscious will just say, this is how you're going to do it. And you end up getting that money. But if you're a negative person who's sitting around and just dwelling on negative things, then you won't get anything. None of the possibilities will be attracted to you. You want to attract any of the possibilities, any of the probabilities, and make them possibilities. You will just, drop the frequency. You will lower the frequency because negative thoughts is a low negative frequency. You won't be putting out enough energy to attract any of the things that you want, anything that your heart desire. And that's really what it's about. When people say that, that's really the truth, because remember, your heart is generating the electromagnetic field that's going to basically go out and get what you want and attract this stuff to you. So you remember Pirates of the Caribbean, he had a compass that pointed to whatever your heart desired, which is amazing. A cool thing to have in real life if you actually can have something like that. But it basically pointed to whatever the heart desired. We know compasses deals with electromagnetics, and it's giving you a hint there. So, we have this field and we have this energy that's attracting so many different things in so many different ways. And if you understand how this stuff works and how these subtle things is embedded so deep in the brain that it's not so much where you think that I'm not thinking about it on a conscious level, and I don't really dwell on it 24/7 consciously, but because it's in a place to where your subconscious is stuck dealing with it, your subconscious is going to deal with it. It's going to give it to you in the dream world, or you'll hear that song on the forefront in your consciousness, and it's telling you, hey, deal with this. Your dream is telling you, hey, deal with this. If not, you're going to have problems. So now they understand this. They understand all about the power of melanated people, which is why this is going through us. Trust me, trust and believe. If they can use any other people to generate the reality that they want, to fuel their agenda and push their agenda, they will be doing so with those people. They understand we are the original people, so the power is going to work with us more than anybody else, which is why we are oppressed. This is what this stuff is all about. They are using us to create the reality that they want. We are the strongest, the most powerful transmitters, the most powerful conductors, and we are producing this energy and putting it out there to the point to where everybody's affected by it across the world, and we don't realize the power. White, Hispanic, Asian, it doesn't matter. Everybody is drawn to the frequency of us, which is why they have to pound so hard to destroy our image, or else we be controlling everything. Plain and simple, we be controlling everything. So we got to understand, what this stuff is really about, and that they know about it. They know all about it. It's not no secret to them. They doing all this stuff. They understand what it's doing to us. So they're using us, and we basically stuck in this frequency, and we are destroying ourselves. I always say, it's so messed up that we find entertainment in our own destruction. And until we become conscious of this, we're going to continue to do so, to destroy ourselves and to be stuck in this stupid hip hop culture that is stupid. I mean, they laughing at us. It's a joke. It's stupid. Award shows and all this stuff and everything. You think these people are going to give us something that's actually going to help us? It's destroying our energy, destroying our consciousness, and got us stuck in this frequency and, drawing us into the lower brain even more so every day. And it's crazy. But getting back, to 440 hertz, which is why, again, it's not no big deal to these people. They understand, don't got to change the frequency. Don't got to mess with the hertz. We just got to play the music, because the music is going to be what controls people. So you have 432 times 440, which equals 190,080, which equals 18, which breaks down to 9. So you have it resonating with the 432 hertz frequency. So it's cool. So, when you start getting to all this stuff, I don't know if any of you heard about the love frequency, which is at 528 hertz. The love frequency is something that basically gives us the C5 pitch, which the C5 pitch is something that all of you have fallen victim to at some point in your life. The C5 pitch is just, it's a note. It's a high note. It's song. It's when a person sings and, you start feeling it emotionally. So many of your favorite music artists have hit those notes. Michael Jackson, Mariah Carey, all these people hit that C5 note really well, and you feel something. People get emotional when they start hearing music. People start crying when they hear music. That's what the opera is all about. Going there and the pitch, the vibration, is supposed to move you. That is the whole point of the opera, to be moved. And it's surrounded with sophistication and class, just like classical music, as I talked about in Calculated Destruction of the Black Man and Woman, about why these people get so dressed up to go listen to this music, because it deals with something that has to do with power, plain and simple. So with classical music, we understand that this boosts the brain power and improves the brain. With the opera, the same thing, boosts the brain power, improves the brain, but it also is, meant to show you the power. The frequency is to move you. Now, to some of you, you might not think that, that's a problem. To me, it's a problem. For a song, for sound to control your emotions, and for us to just not say anything about it. I mean, think about that. Music, because you consciously let it in, it controls your emotion. And only do so if you consciously let it in. If you're just on your chill and you're conscious, then, you won't be affected by it. But it's not what it's supposed to be for. Plain and simple. So you got to just look at that and say, okay, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. You got emotional, what have you. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with the song. Nothing wrong with being emotional or anything like that. What's wrong with it is the fact that you had no clue that it had the power to do that, and it did so. So when you think about it in that aspect, you got to think about, well, if it has the power to move me emotionally, what else does it have the power to do? It has the power to influence you. And that's also what it's doing, and that's the point. It's influencing you. So you have 528 hertz. 528 hertz, which is the love frequency. 528 hertz does resonate with the 432 hertz frequency. 528 times 432, you get 228,096, which breaks down to 27, which 2 plus 7 equals 9. But if tuned to 444 hertz, you can get the C5 pitch and the 528 frequency. Plain and simple. So with 444, you can also manifest the C5 pitch at 528 hertz. And yes, 444 times 432 gives us 191,808. Breaks down, if you add them all up to 27, breaks down to 9. 528 hertz to 444 hertz, you get 234,432. Notice that we didn't use 432. We added 528 and 444, but we still got the 432 in the process. So you add the numbers up and you get 18, which breaks down to 9. It's crazy. It's amazing. So we look at this and, it's amazing. And you think about 444 with Jay-Z, it could possibly be talking about the love pitch, the 444 hertz frequency. But I'll go on a limb here and say that it does. Now, remember the date for the 444 tour for Jay-Z? It was on 6/30/17. Thing is, when you multiply 6 times 30, you get 180. When you multiply 180 by 17, you get 3,060. 3 plus 6 equals 9. Jay-Z has title. Remember, title. If you look at the Gematria, when you add them up for Jay-Z and title, you get 7, 1, 19. You add those, you get 27. 2 and 7 gives you 9. Now we know title, what's a title? It's a wave. Title, waves, deals with the moon, which we'll get into later. Deals with the moon. This all goes back to the same stuff. Jay-Z knows what he's doing. He knows what he's trying to put out in title and with 444 and everything else. Musically, it's about love. And this is what they want it to be about. And they want to have that connection with you emotionally, so you be more attached to the hidden message of the music. And at the same time with hip hop, people hear those lyrics and people hear that beat, the bass. And it's pounding and it's vibrating and it's basically changing the vibration, the frequency of your heart and your energy. And you are resonating with that music, with the words, with what's being said, because you're already locked into that frequency as far as the culture and the Black community. So really deep down, you're not with all that shooting nigga, killing nigga stuff, but you're already hooked. It got you. You locked into the frequency. So you hearing this stuff and you getting hype and you just think about so much stuff, and there it is. And eventually you get immersed in this stuff and it has you. You have so many black brothers and sisters, so many people in prison for the rest of their lives. So many black people been put to death because of this music, because of stuff they did to other black people. So many despicable, horrible things that we've done to each other because of sound, because of vibration and frequency. And we are so ignorant to these facts. It's crazy. But we can look at all this and see why, Satan and the aspect that the Bible want to give us, how he's wrapped up in all this stuff, as far as Satan being evil and everything like that. The world is consumed. People are consumed, especially in America, with materialism. So many materialistic things. Everything is about materialism. People will kill a family member over some money. Plain and simple. People will kill each other over money, over material. We get in arguments over material. People will kill somebody over their girl, over their boyfriend. Fights, lives destroyed because of material. Because people are locked into a frequency that's meant to destroy them. And they don't have this conscious understanding of that. This is why we can't really vibe with the white community, because they're in a different frequency than us. And you have some who step outside and get immersed in, hip hop culture, and they like the culture, but they don't like us. The reason why is because they was locked already in a frequency of having a mother and a father, being raised right, and having morals. That was already instilled in them in the beginning, as I talked about before. Your parents, it's basically going to be the beginning of generational wealth. If they instill values within you that you are conscious of, then you're going to be fine. So they can listen to this music and say, oh, it's just fun. And to them, it's just all in fun. They pay money, they go to the concerts, but they most certainly are not going to go back and shoot a white boy in the head. They're not going to go do all the stupid shit that we talk about in our music, because they are not linked into that frequency. They had already had that frequency filled by their family, and it's locked in. To them, when they hear the music, it's a joke. They laughing at you. You are entertainment. You are sambo, dancing around, tap dancing, for master. Plain and simple. And that's how they're looking at you. But they ain't going to say that. To them, it's just all fun. So one of the things that has happened to us, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video in this way, I didn't want to nerd it all out. I can go into real deep about frequency and vibration and all kinds of hertz and frequencies and a bunch of stuff that a lot of people going to need dictionaries to understand. Not saying that you're stupid and you can't understand it. It's just, it's not going to really go to the overall point of what I'm trying to tell you guys and how it's really affecting us in our life, which is why I'm doing it this way, so you can understand how it affects us and what the stuff really is about. We'll get into frequency a lot more as we go, and with vibration and a whole bunch of other things that we got to, touch on, the sound as well. But one of the things they have done, they have made us embarrassed about our real power, embarrassed. We look at this stuff that the ancients did and that some Africans, many Africans still do, and we think it's a joke. They playing ooga booga music and they dancing around the fire with bones in their lips, and all this stuff is stupid to us because we don't understand it. And you have to understand, when you have the Africans, when you see the Africans doing voodoo, when you see the Africans dancing and chanting, banging on drums, sound we're talking about. The frequencies, the high shrieks and high pitches that they make when they shout is creating frequencies and vibrations that's meant to do something. Plain and simple. Whatever they're trying to do, these vibrations, the frequency, it will make it happen, because they understand how to affect their reality with frequency. And when you pay attention to a lot of the stories, when they be telling you about, these ceremonies and the things that they do, the stuff works. And, it's, you get to the end of it and you be skeptical, like, did that really work? But it did. And, it's deep. One of the things that I realized when I was in Thailand, Thai people do the same thing, the Buddhists, the monks. See, the monks, they'll do chants, they have their mantras and everything, because monks will tell you like this, it's a problem. You have bad water. They'll say your water is bad. Remember, water is a conductor of electricity. Water can basically, spread vibration and sound and what have you. So they looked at it as, you have bad water. We have to perform the purification ritual to basically cleanse the water or what have you. So the reason why I put the video on my Instagram, I'll show you in a second. But the reason why I even took place in the ceremony is because of this. I was going to sit out. When I was there, I was going to sit out the ceremony. I was just going to watch and observe, record a little bit. I wasn't going to take place. But, once we talked and I got to understand, I was like, man, basically broke down to me stuff that I had already knew, but I just really wasn't, for some reason at that point, focused on the water part of it. I was like, damn, it makes sense. So you would think about it and, it makes sense because water is a conductor. So, I took part in the ceremony. It's a brief clip. So yeah, you would think, we are mostly water. Our body, water conducts electricity. So we are energetic beings. So it's kind of sort of a good thing we have this water that can conduct electricity or what have you. The thing is, what a lot of people don't realize is water at its purest form does not conduct electricity. So completely pure water doesn't, conduct electricity. You won't be able to get a charge from it at all. This is pure water. So when they say you have bad water, what the monks do is they do the ritual and they want to purify the waters. And you got to understand that water only carries, can get a frequency and can carry the charge because of the impurities that's in the water, the salts and the ionization that's happening. You have to do a deionization process to basically, get rid of that stuff. But it carries a charge because of the impurities and the stuff that's actually in the water, which allows it to carry this charge and to conduct this charge. Now, have you ever, put a pot of water on the stove to boil water, and you boil the water, you go sit down, you forget about the water, you run back in the kitchen, you look at the pot, and the water is basically almost gone. It's a little bit of water at the bottom of the pot, but you look around the side, you see this white residue. That residue is salt. That's the salt residue. That's the resin left over from the salt, the impurities that was in the water. Plain and simple. People say, oh, well, you boil water to make it pure. Well, that is not going to help. The residue is going to go off on the sides, but you ain't going to get it all. And when you pour that water out, you just pull in the residue right back in, anyway, which is why they sell, pure water. But, take a look at this and see that what the monks do is they take regular water and they basically leave it there. They know this water carries a charge, and they perform the mantra, the ritual, what have you. And then they go back and test the water, and if the water is, carries a low charge or is, completely pure, then they know the ritual worked or the mantra worked. Take a look.
Traditional Eastern medicine has been based for many centuries on the vibrations and resonance of the body's water content. The pulse indicates if the resonance tone is right. It is believed that the pulse may be strong, weak, cold, or hot. On the basis of this, an experienced physician carries out a kind of energy scan of the body, makes a diagnosis, and prescribes treatment. We do not heal with water, because a person, the human body, is water. The person simply reads the mantras in order to correct the bad water he has inside. How this hidden effect works is not known.
Now, 100% pure water is safe to drink, if we can get it. It's damn near impossible to get it. And the only place you find it at most of the time is in industrial places, because it's used to basically cool, like, electromagnetic magnets that put out electromagnetic energy that's used in conducting electromagnetic forces or what have you. They use completely pure water to cool those magnets, so they don't get a charge because it doesn't, conduct electricity. The thing is, when you do the process of deionizing the water, the resin from the deionization process is still in the water and it's not safe to drink. So you will have to get water from a place where they're doing a 100% purification process, but it is done so for human consumption. And that's just not easy to find. As a matter of fact, I think like water like that is like super expensive. Now, in either case, whether you drink, 100% pure water or just distilled water, regular water, what have you, water still has power. Water still holds memory. You probably heard about this. And water holding memory and water being able to basically, transmit energy, into beautiful patterns when frozen. So people who speak love and, I will kill you have different frozen water patterns. And this has been put out, a long time ago. But it's a real thing. We all walking around and we are vibrating energetic beings, plain and simple. So the water in us would of course be different in each person, different types of frequencies, different types of emotions and feelings that we have. So all water would basically be different in each of us.
To what extent is water capable of picking up information? What does it perceive? And how does it remember it over time?
The Aerospace Institute in Stuttgart has discovered a relatively simple way of making the structure of a drop of water visible. The researchers have had their efforts rewarded by insights into a very beautiful world. Each drop has a face of its own, unmistakable and unique. Why are the individual drops so different from one another? We got a lot of people to come to a lecture hall here at the Institute, gave them all the same water, had them make drops at exactly the same time, collected all the drops, and then discovered that each individual produced different images from the same water. And here you can see the results. Here on the right you can see that the images of the individual students are different, but those made by a given student are all quite similar. This is the work of the first experimenter, this one here from the second, this from the third, and this from the fourth. Individually they can quite easily be reproduced, but you would never have thought that they were all from the same water, because when you compare the images from the different people, you see some big differences. Then we undertook experiments to find out whether things changed when we put something into the water. A real flower was placed in the water. A while later we took a drop of water, and here you can see one of the pictures. And you can see it in this picture. It's the typical image you get when you put a flower into water. You could recognize the flower in every single drop in this glass, of course. That can be reproduced and has significance. And if you were to put a different flower in here, for example, a Sweet William flower, then all the drops of this water would look like Sweet William. The statement that water has a memory practically changes our whole way of looking at the world, of course. Let's travel down the Rhine in the figurative sense. The water is flowing down the Rhine, picking up information everywhere it goes. So the water has more information at the mouth of the Rhine than it had at the source. And the Dutch, living at the mouth, when they drink that water, they're also drinking all that information. Thus, the world's oceans would no longer be something that separates us, but instead a giant storehouse of information, and the rain would perhaps be a data medium carrying information to the world.
So now, even if you're walking around with a cup of water in your hand, the energy, the vibration that you're putting out is going to affect that water. So if you're a negative person, you're just drinking yourself with negative energy. You're having a bad day and you're feeling down about something and you drink water, you're just putting that energy onto that water. And it's not realistic to tell people to be positive all the time, but you got to really be conscious and understand when you do certain things. Like, of course, if you're going to drink that water, I wouldn't want to have a negative attitude when I'm doing so, or be pissed off when I'm doing so, because I don't want to drink all that negative energy and just have it all over, my organs and all, in your body, inside of you. And you wonder why people have problems and issues with health. And this is the thing, it's little stuff like this that we don't think about, and how we do things to attract certain things. And you got to understand, what I talked about with food in the last, one of the videos on YouTube about this, all of this stuff goes into these contexts. And you got to understand that when they're talking about cancer and foods and putting this stuff out there, and you know you have an addiction or know that you love certain foods, how because you have in the back of your mind the thought that I'm going to get cancer, I better stop eating this stuff. You're building up this guilt. You're building up this frustration that, I'm going to get sick, I'm going to get cancer, I got to stop, knowing that you don't really want to stop. And you just, basically manifested cancer onto yourself. You activated those genes that could have been, passed down or been there because of an ancient ancestor, because of an ancestor, I should say, uncle, aunt, grandparent, or what have you, what I'm talking about. And now you have cancer. Now you are sick because you brought this frequency onto yourself because you had all this doubt and worry about something that you should have been more focused on good health instead of negative health, and not worrying about such things. It may sound weird to you, but this kind of stuff always plays into the situation. You have so many people walking around with cancer and they always say, I felt fine, I felt great, I didn't know I had cancer until I went to the doctor. And you got to pay attention to stuff like this and understand that you go in there with all this worry, know you got a doctor's appointment, you worried about so much stuff and worried about the doctor telling you bad news, and you get there and now you got bad news because you just brought it into yourself. These people sick, they crazy, they understand the sound, the frequency, and what it's doing to us as far as hip hop and how it's controlling and changing us. I've watched so many people change over the years because of the culture, because of the music and what they're putting in themselves. It's changing them. It's changing them. As I said, I never thought I would see so many black people just condemn a young black teen because of some material stuff. And this is why they was able to do that, because they've been connected to this frequency that says it's okay to kill a nigga. This frequency that says it's cool. It's this whole code that we have in the ghetto, these ghetto politics and ghetto rules. You got to kill him, you step on your sneakers, you got to kill him, you look at you wrong, you got to die. Stupid. So of course people on this frequency is going to say he deserved to die because he left out the house with nothing and he possibly stole something, but there's no proof. So it's crazy. People just have no value for life, and it's because they on that frequency. So you have so many people so quick to condemn that dude. And the crazy thing is, go back to the 60s. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I did a video on YouTube, by the way, just for anybody who may be lost. I put a video up on YouTube about a situation where a boy was shot and killed by a woman because he broke into her house. She was not home. She called the cops because she could see that he broke into her house. She called the cops, and the cops was on the way to arrest the dude. She left wherever she was at, went home, put herself in danger because she had a gun. And she ended up shooting the dude one time and killing him. Now, of course, a lot of people think, well, he deserved to die. He shouldn't have broken into her house. My whole thing was, I get that. If she was in a house, he deserved to get whatever he got because she was in danger. She was not in any danger in that situation. She put herself in danger and it cost somebody their life. I know people are not going to agree with that because people are, again, stuck in that frequency. But you got to think about, in this particular situation, she had a life in her hands. She could have took that life or she could have saved that life. She chose to take it. Understand that everything about the situation came down to her and her decision, period. She had a chance to let this boy live and change his life probably for the better. Who knows? Who knows what could have happened? But she chose to go back and she chose to shoot and kill his boy. And he was only 17 and he didn't deserve to die for some shit in the house in the ghetto. That's just my opinion, how I feel about my people. You have other people who feel like that nigga deserved to die. So all these so-called pro-black people would condemn a 17-year-old boy over some shit in the house. Now, again, my point was, go back to the 60s. It never happens this way because the community would have caught this kid, or they would have brought him in front of his mom, probably beat his ass, took him to his mom, let his mom discipline him. That's how it's supposed to be done. It takes a community to raise a child, especially a teen. We're supposed to be teaching our kids, not shooting them in the fucking chest. And it's crazy that so many people are stuck in that frequency and thinking that somebody deserved to die over what? Something that he didn't even come out the house with. And too many black people are changing because of this frequency, and it's changing them into something that they do not want to be. plain and simple, and they're not realizing it. And that's the subtlety of the whole thing. Over the years, when you're conscious, you can see the change. I've seen it. I've watched it because I've looked at so many archive records and so many archive videos, I should say, about the past, the 60s and the 50s, and how black people was, and how united we was, and how strong we was. The main thing they try to hide. And it's just a different world. It's just a different mindset. And it's crazy what they've done to us. So over the years, they've changed us, especially with hip hop. As I said before, it's no coincidence. In the 1980s, we begin to close the wealth gap, and then we all of a sudden get crack cocaine, we get gangster rap, we get private prisons, we get everything that's destroying us to this day. And here it is. We're seeing it, and we're seeing the results of it. And it's all been implemented because of frequency, vibration, sound given to us in our music, causing us to change and become something that we really don't want to be. So again, music bypasses all the defenses. Music is heard, it goes straight to the brain, plain and simple. So when you listen into sound, when you have sound, Now once sound hits the pinna, which is the back of the ear, it travels down the auditory canal, it's amplified, hits the eardrum. The eardrum then sends vibration to the ossicles. The ossicles are these three tiny bones. I believe they are the three smallest bones in the body, in your ear. The ossicles basically send that vibration to the cochlea. The cochlea is this seashell shaped, thing you have in your ear. And inside the cochlea, you have water, and you have these little fibers called cilia. Now, the cochlea vibrates, that water vibrating off the water. The cilia are these fibers, these little hairs that picks up that vibration and sends it to nearby neurons, which basically sends a signal to the auditory canal, to the auditory surface in your brain, I should say. So you have the cochlea sending that signal to the nearby neurons, and the neurons sending it to the auditory part of the brain, and then that basically transferring it into sound, so what you think it is or what it think it is. So you have sound directly affecting the brain, that's going to the brain. Your ears are on your head, so your brain is right there, easy to control you. There is no defense from this unless you put earplugs on or don't listen to the music at all. So as the doctor talked about in the video on YouTube, The Calculated Destruction of the Black Man and Woman, he was talking about how the rhythm, the beat, the bass throws off your heart rhythm, and you succumb to the power of the music. And this is basically what's happening to us. So when you don't understand how you have the stimulation for this music coming through directly to your brain and stimulating and giving you this information that's laying dormant, that's going to eventually, work itself out and manifest itself, into your life, not literally, but that's going to happen. Then that's it. You succumb to the power of the music. So when the music's on and you're dancing, it got you. Tapping your feet, bobbing your head, it got you. As I said in the video, if you don't consciously don't tap your feet or consciously don't bob your head, you will succumb to the power of the music. You have to subconsciously understand that this is a rhythm, a melody that's trying to take me into its land. It's trying to bring me in, kidnap me, and have me in there dancing their strange rituals. This is what happens to you. How else can you explain it? Before the music came on, you wasn't tapping your feet, you wasn't dancing. It's the music that caused it, obviously, clearly. So you got to look at it as such and say, well, this music, as we think it's just a playful, happy thing, has brought me in and I'm dancing. And if you're not conscious of what's going on, you're going to succumb to the music. It's the same thing with TV. You bring in this visualization, which, when you look at TV, everything is visual. Everything in your room right now, you look at it, it's light. All of it is light, plain and simple. You got to understand that. It's all lights, and your eyes are basically just breaking it down, decoding it. Understand when the image comes into your eyes, through the retinas or what have you, it comes in upside down. It is transmitted upside down. Your brain turns it right side up and gets you to see straight. So we are upside down and looking at things any damn way without the brain. So if something that powerful can take, light and bend it and turn it into, what we are seeing right now. Imagine if that kind of same power you have absolutely no control over what it can do as far as, manipulating you. And that's what it's doing. It's manipulating you and causing you to act out and do things conducive to the message, the signal that's in the music, that's coming from the TV. And this is your life now. This is what you're acting out. This is what you're doing because you're not conscious of it. This is why Christians can't truly, follow the Bible and be a true Christian, because they still listening to the music, they're still watching TV, and they're not supposed to. So you can't really follow the book. You can't follow, the stuff truthfully. And that's the point. Nobody can be perfect, plain and simple. And this is how it gets you. But everything you look at on this whole electromagnetic spectrum, as far as the spectrum of light, is all light. All of it is light. Melanin itself, we know it absorbs light. But plain and simple, we resonate with the sun. Plain and simple. Our skin, our melanin, you resonate with the sun. And this is what they hate about us and what they do not do. It's what the Egyptians understood. So you have the frequency, which is light. Light beams this white light that we see as white light, but it's really a spectrum within white light that basically goes from, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and that's all there. That's all the colors, that we can visibly see. So when you see a rainbow, those are the colors that you see, because those are the colors. Everything else is basically like a mixture, like almost with numbers. But those are the colors. Black and white is black and white. Not to say that they're not colors, but you get what I'm saying. So you have, electrons. We're made up of atoms, of course. You have electrons. And just like the sun, which is a frequency, energy, or what have you, or electrons are energy, or what have you. And we have different electrons that's basically assigned to different colors. So when you have, let's say, the frequency of the red electron from the light of the sun hits your skin, it resonates with that red electron, with the electron for red. Same thing with orange, and so on and so forth. So you have the colors resonating with each other. So when light resonates with an object, it causes it to vibrate at high amplitude, which basically causes it to absorb, the light. And this is basically what happens. Now, with people who can't absorb the light, what happens is you still have the electrons vibrating, but they basically penetrate. The light basically penetrates through all the electrons until it comes out basically the other side. So instead of those objects or those people absorbing the light, it passes through them. And of course, if you have too much light passing through you over time, it's going to wear down the cells, break down the cells, and cause all kinds of skin cancers and diseases or what have you. So you have what you call transmission, where, as I said, you still have vibration, but that light passes through, electron to electron to electron till it passes completely through. And, that's definitely not a good thing to have happening over time. But again, these people understand this. And this is why the Egyptians said we are children of the sun in so many different ways, you might as well say, when you look at everything. And it's deep when you start getting into this stuff. But the control aspect of it all, once you understand what this stuff does, is deep. Tesla knew this. Tesla understood this. And Tesla talked about it. And they understood that the more that Tesla would get into this stuff, the more he would figure out. And Tesla already scared them when he said, I don't want to make no money off this shit. I want to give people free electricity. Plain and simple. Let's just do that. And Tesla wanted to help the people and do something for, humanity. They definitely didn't like that. So, they did what they did. But Tesla was on the verge of basically putting out everything. I mean, if Tesla would have succeeded and kept on and growing, and man, who knows where we'd be at with the kind of brain that he had and the way that he was able to soak in this information, which is why, when you had all these Einsteins and smart people like Tesla back in the day, and we all dumbed down and stupid now, it's because these people had to make sure they control education. Now, another crazy thing about Tesla, as I said, they left him to die basically in his hotel room, which his hotel room number was 3327. When you multiply 33 times 27, you get 891. You break that down by addition, you get 18, which 18 gives you 9. So Tesla, he was said to not really deal with anything that didn't equal 9, and he, stayed in numerology and a lot of things that he did. So we have been seeing the power of frequency and vibration for a long time. We've seen it shatter glass. We've seen it move water. We've seen it move people. People get emotional. People get excited. People get angry. We have seen the power, and a lot of people, in most cases, don't realize what it is and, you know, how it works. So now you have a better understanding of what this stuff is about and how these people are tapping into us and changing our frequency and vibration to change our mood, to shape who we are, to shape our reality, to keep us locked in to the material world. Which this brings me to the final part of this DVD, which would be Saturn. And Saturn is what everybody points to as Saturn being like this giant, you know, frequency transmitter, you know, this giant, you know, antenna of sorts that's basically putting out a frequency, and it's being picked up by our moon and amplified on the Earth. So we talked about how sound is coming from Saturn. They picked up sound coming from Saturn. Talk about the huge ring that's been picked up coming from Saturn, and it's believed that our moon, which is the Earth's natural satellite, picks up signals and bounces them, you know. So a lot of people believe that we are getting this signal from Saturn, broadcast by our moon onto us, and somehow, you know, got us trapped in this matrix. And that's the key. You know, that's one of the things you got to think about. Even in the Matrix, they had absolutely no clue. Even though it was a movie, you got to think about it in those terms. They had no clue, you know, that it wasn't real. Everything felt real, which is why Morpheus said, what is real? How do you define real? Electrical signals interpreted by the brain. And you got to think about that. What are we seeing? What is here? What is this? And if we are transmitters and receivers, and as I just explained to you in this video, you see because everything is light. This light is coming in to your eyes and it's being transmitted into what we see. Just like, you know, how we feel and touch and everything like that. But if you think about it differently, how this can be manipulated, how the signals can be changed, and how we can be taken in something that is not what we think it is. Not saying that everything that's around us that we're looking at is not real, it's something else in essence, but certain things can be broadcast and shown to us to be something else. And we have no idea. If it did happen, we wouldn't really know. It would just be, you know, what it is. But we have a lot of people who believe so many different things about Saturn. And we know Saturn is doing something. You know, you look at the symbols and everything dealing with Saturn, you know, like the Bluetooth signal, looking at the seal of Saturn, and all this stuff going back to radio frequencies and what have you. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that Greek mythology goes back to Saturn, all the moons of Saturn, that George Lucas is using Iapetus to basically give us the Death Star, and so many different things surrounding Saturn and Satan and everything else. As Satan dealing with music, which music deals with vibration, which vibration is basically giving us the material physical world, and Saturn being coupled with Satan, which Saturn is supposed to be vibrating and sending a signal that's creating what? We don't know. Supposedly, this illusion world that we see, is it one and the same? What is it? What is that? If Saturn is Satan, and Satan is supposed to be giving us material, is it telling us that the material world that we see is being broadcast by Saturn? This is where it's coming from. We don't know. That's one of the things that's going to remain a mystery because there's no way for us to really tell. But as I said, it's no coincidence that in so many different movies, the moon is destroyed. They want the moon gone. And we say, well, the moon controls the tides. And without the moon, we'll have crazy waves that will destroy us. But you have recorded history. We have documented cases of people speaking about a time before the moon. Talked about this before. So we can't be 100% clear that without the moon, what will happen? Because you have civilizations that actually lived before the moon that talked about it not being a moon. As early as so-called Native Americans, who also spoke about a time before the moon. Stuff we got to think about. And you got to contemplate and understand it's something up with that moon. It's something up with Saturn. It's something up with this whole thing. And it has to do with whatever is running this planet, the powers that be, or whoever is controlling all this stuff. And I talked about before the square of Saturn, about how, the numbers, when you calculate them, equals to 15, which equals 666, which breaks down to the number 9. All this stuff is linked together. All this stuff has occult, esoteric meanings to it. And it's stuff that we have to continue to study and look into because it's deep. And it's a lot more that I want to get into on this subject later on down the road. And we got to think about a lot of things when we start getting into this whole line of thinking as far as frequency and vibration and how it can be controlled and manipulated. From my understanding and from what I can see, I mean, if they can do this, they can change us, period. I mean, they can just change us easily. So, who's to say we don't know what is going on, what kind of power these beings possess. But it's definitely something that we are not going to get answers to or get remedy to in our present state, in this present condition. And they are obviously, this is the one part that I'm sure of, they are obviously terrified of us, of black people and our potential, which is why they keep their foot on our neck. We have to figure out how, in what way we can remedy the situation. And it falls to us. And, we are being, just led by so much bullcrap that makes absolutely no sense. It's all nonsense in the scheme of things. And again, eventually, we stay this course, they're going to have their way, they will win. And that will basically, be it, for us. So we got to step back and look at the big picture and look at all this stuff and decide what's more important. I do believe that it is Saturn that is keeping the cycle going. That frequency, whatever they broadcasting, is probably keeping us from escaping here and, really leaving. And as I said, the only way to do it is to generate enough energy to punch through. So if you look at it on the same type of level, we have to build our frequency, we have to build our energy, our vibration to kind of sort of punch through whatever it is that is, keeping us on this planet. And the only way to do that is to wake up, to be conscious, to activate that third eye, to activate that Merkaba, which is the spiritual vehicle, which will allow you to ascend. This is what all the masters talked about. This is what all the people are alluding to in the ancient world. The Egyptians, everybody is talking about this power, something that we once had that they were trying to remember how to get. And the answers are still here. It's all here. And we just have to put it together, which we are doing, which I believe I have in so many different ways, but I don't have all the answers, but I believe I have a lot. But, eventually they can't keep it going forever. It's just not going to happen. So our efforts over time, I believe, will pay off because they can't hold down this power forever. They can't, and they know they can't. So they're trying to make all these plans and they do all these things to set themselves up to prepare for their downfall. So they know it's coming in more ways than one. And as long as we continue to not get swept up in, the bullshit, so we end up, stuck with these people, these beings or what have you, then, we'll be fine. Keep continuing to get this information, keep continuing to build in power and energy and to understand about these frequencies. Now, if you stop listening, when this video is over, sit down, be still, focus. When you do that, you are going to hear a ringing, a buzz. It's beep. You've been hearing it your whole life, and a lot of people pick up on it and just think, whatever. But this frequency, this hum that you cannot get rid of, it's coming from your electronics. It's coming from, you being in the city, period. And this is where you'll find it and you can't get rid of it. And we don't know exactly what it is and what it's doing to us or what that whole thing is about. But I know this. When I was up in the mountains, there was no hum, was no frequency. I didn't hear it. But that was here in Sweden, and there was snow everywhere. But it has something to do with our electronics that they are using against us somehow. This frequency is being broadcast where the majority of the people live. We are picking it up, and you can't not hear this thing. I mean, I don't know if any of you can not hear it, which would be amazing. But it's this beep, constant beep, that drives you crazy if you stop and focus on it. That is these bastards. That is the electronics in your room. This is the frequency that they are putting out to do whatever it is it's doing to us. But I believe that when you consciously understand it and consciously understand what can be done as far as being manipulated by frequency, it won't affect you. It won't affect you at all. You just got to deal with the noise, unfortunately. But consciousness collapses the wave function. It cuts off the bullshit. And this is what I want people to really focus on and understand. Saturn, we got a lot more to get into with it. But we don't have time to get into it deeply in this, but understand it plays a major part in all this, which we'll see, down the road. But yeah, I really wanted to get into just the effects of vibration and frequency to get you guys to understand what this stuff is all about and how it affects the body and how it affects us and how we see it all the time and how it deals with the makeup of our physical material world. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch and purchase. And we got more coming on this stuff. I got a lot more coming that's really going to start bringing more information into your understanding as far as vibration and frequency. As you'll see, some of those videos will be on YouTube as well. And there's a lot more we got to get into and think about. But this is one of those DVDs you might want to watch twice, or videos you might want to watch again, and just really think about it. You'll see it'll start coming to you, the ramifications, the possibilities of what can be possible as far as vibration, frequency, sound. And this stuff is all around us. So Saturn playing a major role in us still trying to figure out what this stuff is about. Looking at the fact that Saturn is Satan. Satan is attached to the hip hop music industry, which is controlling the world, controlling everything. Satan's supposed to be the god of this world, everything like that. Understanding the power of Satan lies with these powers that be. God lies with them. All this stuff. It's all tied into each other, as you can see. But a lot more to come. New videos on YouTube coming this week as well. And I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch. See you next video.